Welcome, everyone, to the Historic and Architectural Review Board meeting of Radnor Township for Wednesday, July 1st, 2020. It's good to be back, and wishing everyone well. First order of business is call to order, and second is Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, new business. Harb case 2020-02, 200.5 West Wayne Avenue. Construct a new one-car garage and rear porch. Add front door, and this is a continuance from our March 4, 2020 meeting. Welcome.
Correct. Hi. My name is Matt Lombardi. I'm the property owner and the developer builder. So it's an existing home we have at 200.5 West Wayne. We're looking to put there's a front porch, but there's no door off of the front porch. So we built the porch maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and we're looking to actually put a door now underneath the little arch we put on the porch. And in addition to that, we're looking to construct a one-car garage detached in the rear, and a rear deck with a roof over it.
Matt, do you have any exhibits to put up for the board? For the public at home?
Yeah, I could put up the architectural plans. I don't have any pictures with me.
Okay.
Does it go to that board here?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so here is the front of the residence at 200.5. We built this porch about 4 or 5 years ago, and right now where the front door is just a single double hung window. So we're going to we'd like to put a front door there off the front porch. And then if you look right down below.
Could you slow down a little because you can't see?
Yeah.
And you have this big one.
Yeah, okay.
So you have to kick through our drawings behind that.
Okay. This is on page 2, I believe, of what you guys have.
Thank you.
Sure.
Matt, sorry to interrupt again. It may be helpful for the board and the public at home if you show the picture that you included with your submission of the area as it exists, and then the renderings.
I don't have the pictures with me. Thank you. Cool, thanks. Okay, so here's the front of it as it exists today. This was the porch we built 3 or 4 years ago. And you see right where this double hung window is, that's where we want to put the front door of the residence. And at the time, when we put the front door in and do the garage and these improvements, we're going to renovate the whole interior of the house, renovate the exterior, new roof, basically do a full renovation of the house, while keeping the general character of kind of the small federal style. Okay, let's go to, so that's the current front. This is the current back of the house, which doesn't have a whole lot of nice detail going on. And then I'll show you what the proposed rear has. French doors off of the dining room, has, maybe this is about 12 foot deep, the actual depth on it, but French doors that'll have a roof over, standing seam metal to match the front porch, a couple columns holding up from the support above the basement. So that's the rear.
Just one quick question.
Sure.
I'm assuming none of this would be visible from the street view?
Correct.
from behind the house?
Yep.
Okay. And also, too, just quick little bit of information. Zillow says this house was built in 1964, so it's not exactly old, but it is a contributing property in that historic district.
Yep, correct. And we actually developed the property next door, just to show you a little surrounding. So this is the home, it's 5 apartments next door. This was just a restoration we did, and we bought the other property at the same time, so we're trying to kind of complete the package as far as the renovation. The grade on the property, because the front is 2 stories, and you'll see with the rear being like a full almost 3.5, I think the grade slopes down enough that you probably won't see the garage from the street. You might see like 2 or 3 feet of the gable of the ridge sticking up, but it slopes down. It slopes down quite a lot, maybe 8 to 10 feet, like a whole story. You probably won't see too much of the garage from the street.
I would agree with that. When I saw this property back in March, that's what I saw. Kind of like went down into like a little hill there.
Yeah.
So not a whole lot of view from the public view in that regard.
No, I don't think you're going to see much. Even from the back, the only place you really see it is from, I think it's Owens Lane or Owens Alley. And with the fellow's garage back there, there's not...
Really look for it.
You have to look for it. You have to search for it. And once we do this, we're going to put, new 6-foot fence up in the rear and landscape buffers and stuff like that, just to make the property kind of complete. Although that's not part of the application, but that's our intention. So then, this doesn't show great detail of the garage, I would say, but I'm going to kind of put a little more architectural detail into probably than what's here, probably a couple brackets. He shows a 3-foot roof overhang on this small pent roof sticking out from above the garage door. But I'm going to kind of beef that up a little bit, probably with some brackets or something. But it's small. It's just a 1-car garage. The overall width is 13 feet, 22 feet deep, so 1-car garage.
Very similar to the garage that's on Owens Lane, I believe.
The one that's back-
Yeah,
yeah.
it was, it's like on a little bit of a corner there.
Yes.
Very similar to that, and that garage was before this board at one time.
Oh, okay.
So
I
it's
think
very,
they
very
actually
similar look.
did that garage not long ago because I walk around there with my
Oh, really?
my daughters,
Yeah,
but,
considering what was there, it was an absolute improvement, definitely.
yeah. And I think there was like a 3 or 4-car garage there, maybe 10 years ago on our property, but that was removed at some point by the previous owner. So I think the current character of this house, although it's traditional, it fits in well with what's on the street. I think it's very tired. The windows are shot. The brickwork is kind of shot. A couple of the shutters have fallen off in the last couple of windstorms we had. So our plan is to kind of get in there and restore everything, all new windows, all new doors, and kind of just beautify the whole house and the landscape and property along with it. Here's a side view to show front porch, existing door on the side, which is kind of the main entrance now. And then you can kind of see how the grade slopes down quite a bit, and you're basically a whole floor lower by the time you get to the backyard. So that garage is going to be pretty much hidden from the street, actually.
Cool. I'd like to move that we issue a certificate of appropriateness for the changes to the front. The changes to the rear, we do not need to comment on. And if the garage is only going to be visible if you crane your neck and stand on a ladder, I don't think we need to comment on that either.
Okay.
So I move that we issue a certificate of appropriateness for the additional front door only, with the understanding you don't need our approval for any of your other changes.
Okay, there's a second, so the motion passes, and the board recommends a certificate of appropriateness. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Poor thing's going to short circuit with, that's all right, no, I'm just saying the poor thing's going to short circuit with all the stuff that's been dumped on it. Okay, so that one can go away.
Okay, thanks for your patience, just doing a little bit of sanitizing. How things have changed since March, huh? Okay, new business, second case. Harb 2020-03, 420 St. David's Road. Construct a detached two-car garage.
Here? I have a, they gave me an extra copy. Do you guys want that, or what I'm going to be referring to, or you may have it? Yes.
I think we have it.
Okay.
Thank you for making it a good size. Wow.
You can go on and on.
So my name is Kimberly McCarthy, and I am representing the homeowners. The homeowners and the architect are both out of town, so I said I would come and do this as a friend. Oh, that's probably better. So page 1 of the packet that you guys have is just the overall sketch, and they're looking to add a two-car garage onto the back of their property. And it's very, you can see in the picture, it's really traditional, and it reflects the architecture of the main house, which I can go through a little bit.
Is there currently a garage there?
No,
Okay.
no.
Thank you.
Nothing there now.
Just a little bit of background on the house.
Yep.
It's contributing property, was built circa 1890. Architect is Price Brothers, and the builders Wendell and Smith. These are from Radnor Township records.
Okay.
It's right on the corner.
Are you okay if I start, or do you have anything else?
Go ahead.
Okay. So they wanted me to point out where the main house is and where the garage will go. And it's the distance from St. David's Avenue to the garage is over 120 feet. And from the garage to Orchard Way is 84 feet. And they were careful when they designed it. It's a corner lot, so all sides of the new garage are appropriately designed for historic context. So. The two on the left are the existing home, and they'll use all the same types of materials and architectural interests, like it's cedar and stone. They're planning on matching the roof pitch. They're unique, like 6/1 windows or something. They're going to replicate those. The front door will be mimicked, so a lot of the details on the current house will be used on the new garage. The neighbors across the street and adjacent to the home both have two-car garages that were added separately or later. So they put in pictures of that.
What do they have now for parking?
If you
What do
any-
they have now for parking?
Do they have what?
What do they have now?
There's a driveway now.
It's just a parking pad?
Yes, well, it's a driveway that runs along the side of the house and sort of stops where the garage will be, hopefully.
Was there ever anything there, Bob? Was there a carriage house or a, nothing? No?
there is no garage there currently.
Okay. Did they do any historical research? Was there ever any kind of a carriage house? It seems such houses of that size, many of them had some kind of a accommodation for a horse and a
I don't know, but
buggy.
interestingly, the few times I've been there, when you're facing the house from St. David's, there's another beautiful old house pretty close next to it on the right, so I'm not sure, I don't know that.
One thing that I can share without having the map here is I've seen this on maps of certain of the Wayne historic districts, like North Wayne, in the time of like the late 1900s, where even though there would have been a large house at the time there was no outbuildings. And I was curious about that. You know, it was still the horse and buggy era, right? It's like where, how are they getting around? Well, you had to train, right? But there were a number of livery stables, which was like, in the day, the cab of the day. So you rented your horse and you rented the carriage and you went around. And if I remember correctly, I think at least at that time period in the late 1800s, directly where the historic districts would be, there were like 3 of them, I think. So that seems like it was a lot. And
Yeah.
again, I was curious, like, why don't I see a carriage house back there,
Right.
in the
But if they
house?
had
So
3 of those
I
cab
wonder,
companies,
Bob-
maybe
you could
a lot of people use them.
rent.
Yeah.
rent the horse and the carriage and the driver, I'm assuming, too. So
I
I
wonder
hope
if
that helps.
this addition, which was probably put on before the historical board came into being, I wonder if that covered up something that would have been underneath it, like another outbuilding of some kind. Your research didn't show anything?
No.
Okay. It seems like a lot of coverage of the lot.
Okay.
Kevin, does it meet impervious standards? It just seems like it's going to be a lot of building on that lot.
Yeah, I'm looking through the plan now, and I don't see those detailed calculations. That would be something that we would be reviewing during the grading permit process. That's when
Okay,
that thorough check gets done for the setbacks, the building coverage, the impervious coverage.
Okay,
At submission of building plans, then we check for building height for accessory structures. I do see that there are some dimensions on here for accessory structures, so it looks like it complies. But again, these aren't detailed building plans, so it's, those are all
Okay.
things that we check throughout the process.
I would like to wait to comment on this until we have assurance that if we recommend appropriateness, that that's the end of the line. I think we need some more information, and I'm sorry to your friends, but it's an incomplete submission as far as I'm concerned. I don't object to the notion of a garage. I appreciate that they're going to such lengths to make it look like it belongs. But there are other issues at play here, including lot coverage, impervious surface coverage. If there's nothing there now, obviously a building of this scale is going to make a big difference. And I would like to wait until we have that information, because if it doesn't meet those standards, there's no reason for us to comment on it. So what I'm offering the owners is what we call tabling. We're going to table this until we get the correct amount of information. Are you all okay with that? We're going to table this. So I move that we table this application until such time as the property owners can come to us with a complete submission, letting us know what the actual coverage of the lot is going to be, and that they have approvals for a building of that scale, because it's very, very, very visible. And they already have a big addition off the back of that house, and this is just going to add to the amount of building on that lot.
And is that usual that you get that that approval before you do the historical approval?
We usually, because the next stop after us is the Board of Commissioners. We
Yes.
recommend a certificate of appropriateness, and they will allow you to continue on through the process. But I think that just approving it as a concept is not really what we're supposed to be doing here. You know, I think it looks good to me, but there are, as I said, other things that we need to take into consideration. So please ask them to go through with the township and make sure that it is an appropriate size for that lot, and let us comment on it at a future date.
Okay.
Thank you for your understanding. Terry?
The board recommends a continuance, and what that means is you can appear before the board again. Exactly. But in the meantime, thank you for presenting today. Okay, rolling along here. Third case, Harb 2020-04, 309 Orchard Way. Construct a one-story addition at the rear of the home. And just to give you a little background on that property, according to Radnor Township records, it's a contributing property in the historic district. It was built circa 1890. The architect was Price Brothers, and the builder was Wendell and Smith.
Good evening. My name is Joe Voltaggio. I'm joined here with my wife, Lauren. We're the owners of 309 Orchard, and we actually just purchased the property in May of this year, but we've been Radnor residents for the past 7 years. We fell in love with this house. As you said, it's built in the early 1900s based on what we were able to determine. And, you know, to make it work for our family, we're looking to build a small addition off the back. It's really an extension of a pre-existing addition that was towards the back of the house. We're partnering with Nick Walker and the Cottage Industries firm on the design and build of the addition. As you may know, Cottage Industries was awarded the Historic Preservation Award in Radnor. Nick has a great attention for detail. He fully appreciates all the historical charm and building techniques that are there today on the current house. Things like, you know, the exposed rafter tails, things like the weaving of the corners, things like the flare of the shingles at the bottom away from the foundation, and we intend to build those same characteristics back into this proposed addition. We're fortunate that the property is about 1.25 acres. It's tree-lined on all sides, and like we were saying, this addition is off the back. It's not viewable by any angle unless you're in the backyard. But with that in mind, and with Cottage Industries' focus on design and being historically accurate, I think we've come up with a nice plan for what the addition will look like. So that's a little bit of context. I'm happy to share with you some photographs and some of the site build elevations if that's helpful. picture of how it currently looks from the rear. So this is a view of the rear facade of the house. So this is standing in the backyard, looking at the back side of the house. As you can see there, there was an addition put on at some point in time, or it was an enclosure of an existing porch that was there. And really the intention is to extend that hip roof off to the right, such that it looks like this. So this is a rear elevation of the addition. Sort of this side of it is really the addition that we would be adding on. So it would be extending the hip roof. The way the dimensions of the hip roof work kind of presents this opportunity for a flat, almost what would look like a deck, but it's a non-functional deck, but it's for the aesthetic, kind of to match the aesthetic of the house as it is. We intend, like I was mentioning earlier, to carry some of the architectural features that are currently on the house, like the exposed rafter tails that you see along the back edge, down to the addition. We'll be using all Pella Architect Series windows that are historically accurate for that time. And we're matching all of the grids on the both on the French doors and the new windows to the existing style of windows that are on the house. I can share with you a side elevation. So this is from the left side of the house looking towards the addition. Oops. We're going to be matching, so this house features beautiful stonework from the early 1900s, and we intend to carry that forward on the foundation of the addition to match. Again, the 6/1 windows, and this is the railing that will almost look like it's a porch up there, even though it won't be a functional porch. You have any questions that I can answer?
Well, in my opinion, it's definitely within scale of the house. Can any of that addition be seen from public view?
Nope.
No, okay.
Yeah, there's literally, it's almost like a park-like setting in the backyard, so all sides are pretty dense tree coverage on all aspects there.
In the unlikely event that that foliage is no longer there, would it be visible from the street?
Because of the angle of the way the house sits on the property, and like I was mentioning earlier, I can actually show you a site plan. So,
I
a
think
little
it's
blurry,
fine.
but so this dashed line here represents the addition of the house, and there's really almost no angle with how the street is sitting relative to the house position to be able to see the addition.
I don't really have any questions. I don't have any questions. You okay? All right, in the unlikely event that at some point this can be seen from this public view, I would like to recommend a certificate of appropriateness, and good luck with your addition.
Thank you.
Motion passes. The HARB recommends a certificate of appropriateness. Congratulations, and thank you for presenting today.
Thank you.
Okay, our next case is HARB 2020-05, 132 West Wayne Avenue. New siding, windows, and small addition to the west side of the building. This property is interesting from a historical perspective, and I'd just like to share this with you. According to Radnor Township records, it's a contributing property. According to Radnor Historical Society records, this house is of a type, it was called a median cottage. It was built circa 1882 to 1886. As far as the architect, it was likely designed by Edward Hurst Brown or Brown and Day. But that firm dissolved circa like 1891, and the builder was Wendell and Smith.
Thank you. I'm Robert Marker. I'm the architect for this property, representing the owners in the project. What I can say about this is, first of all, this is a office building, and it's a non-conforming existing use that the owners approached us to originally to look at converting it back to a residential use, which is more fitting with the neighborhood. So we went through a couple of iterations, and we have some plans now that involve a two-dwelling unit arrangement, one apartment upstairs and one downstairs. As we went through and looked at maintenance issues in this project, you know, they've got all these. This was transformed and kind of modernized in the 80s, actually by another architect. And, you know, they did some things that aren't really that nice to the building. One of the things that they did was fill in the front porch. They replaced a lot of the old, larger windows with these smaller casement windows, and they covered the whole thing up with vinyl siding. And I believe most of the rafter tails, which are typical on these houses, have been covered up or capped with aluminum. So as we go through this and look at maintaining and fixing and upgrading this house, the windows are in pretty bad shape. So we're going to replace all these casement windows. We can bring those back to the original scale. I'll show you that in a minute. So some of these are very small casements. It's interesting that the existing framing for the larger scaled original windows are still in the walls there, so we can utilize those and bring some scale back. We need to replace all the siding here, and that gives us the opportunity to re-expose the brick on the first floor. And then finally the porch, which we kind of need the space in there, the existing space, but what we're proposing is to detail that so it's a little more porch-like. And I just wanted to point out that there's a great series of examples, like right down the street, of all these houses. They were all built at the same time and have, you know, similar details. It's a great resource for looking at how we might do this, which we did look at. While we're here, this is a little sketch of what that addition on the back would look like, and that's for access from the rear parking area to the apartments. So on the elevations on the front, if you can see it, we're actually, some of these two large windows in the front are original, so we're proposing to maintain those. We're proposing to re-expose the brick here around the side, which is visible from the street. Our proposal is to use the larger windows that fit in the original framed openings and have a better scale to the house. And then on the porch, removing this kind of series of casement windows that are just floating on that wall, we're proposing to detail this so that it's a little more porch-like. We have ganged windows, some pilasters that would evoke porch posts, and then a metal roof on top of that. So I think those are the primary changes to the exterior that we're talking about. Questions?
I'm disappointed that at least some part of the front porch, porches are so important in Wayne. Everybody loves their porch. We've had, people asking us tonight for porches that want more porches. One guy wants a second porch. So are they really not open to even just putting a little bit of a porch for the people on the first floor to sit outside and watch the world go by? I mean, I
We've suggested it
appreciate the
as-
level of detail.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for it, but it just seems a little bit of an anomaly that they want to rescue the porch, but not really.
Well, the architects want to rescue the porch. And we've suggested restoring part of the porch, but it became a planning issue really for the inside, making the two dwelling units work with the proper number of bedrooms and I think this would be, for the apartment, this would be a sort of a sun porch kind of thing. You could think of it as, a porch that was enclosed later on, the way they used to do. That's kind of what we're aiming for there. So, to answer your question, we have discussed restoring the porch, but it becomes a planning issue and a feasibility thing with the dwelling units.
Well, I commend the fact that you're bringing back those old original windows that are underneath there as far as their total size.
Thank you.
With those types of houses, it's such a common theme. Those large windows before
Right.
air conditioning like that.
Yep.
Second. Okay.
Okay.
Board recommends a certificate of appropriateness. Congratulations, and thank you for presenting today.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along, our last case of the evening, Harb 2020-06, 124 Walnut Avenue. Add an exterior Bilco door. Yes, he was here about same time I was, right? About quarter of six.
Good evening. Is it on now? Okay. I want to thank all three of you for showing up. My name is Michael Kearney. I'm the homeowner of 124 Walnut Avenue, which is also a medium cottage. And we are proposing to add an exterior entrance to our unfinished basement using what is sort of in the trade known as a Bilco door. It's basically a standard steel double door, which is tucked up against the side of the house, and use an existing basement window opening, open that up, put the, put a stairway in so that we can take in and remove bulky items in and out of the basement.
A little bit of a background on the house. Radnor Township records, contributing property. Built anywhere from 1885 to 1889. The architect was Brown and Day, it's a median cottage. And the builders Wendell and Smith. How I looked at this, just to give a comment, that this could also be like a safety issue, where there's another way out of the house
Well,
if someone had to leave the house, say for example with a
in the
fire.
event an owner, which is not my wife and myself, wanted to finish the basement so that it was actually occupied, then there would need to be some kind of emergency egress. And this would meet the standards of that. But it's really for our purposes. It's really just for being able to take things in and out of the basement because it is impossible to take them down into the basement. using
And the extra
existing-
added bonus that
using
it
the
is a
existing
safety.
stairway.
More openings the better.
Yep, yep. I don't think I really need to hear
Any of this visible from the public view?
It would be visible slightly. We can look on this. We maybe try some of the other pictures too. This is the extension of the porch, the front porch right here. So that blocks about half of what you're seeing. And I think if you look in my submission, there's a shot from, I apologize for the cheesy color.
No, that's all right. How far up does it stick?
It's 20, the highest part up against the wall is 22 inches.
Okay, so it's
and
pretty
then-
low to the ground.
Right,
And
and yes, and then the concrete block foundation is 2 inches above grade.
Okay, and it's going to be an unobtrusive color?
Yes, we're hoping, we're gonna paint it. We looked at the pre-available colors and they're not any good, so we're gonna paint it the same dark olive that you'll see in the window frames.
I'm good.
Don't
She's
mess with me,
teasing you.
please.
She's teasing you. This man has been sitting here for 45 minutes, Terry. Not nice. I would like to make a motion that our offer to recommend a certificate of appropriateness.
Thank you.
Is there a second? Okay, the board recommends certificate of appropriateness. Congratulations and thank you. And thank you again for your patience.
You're very welcome.
Okay, as far as old business, if you both don't have any old business, I have one to bring up.
Okay.
That's is very near and dear to our hearts. We have 2 openings on the Historic and Architectural Review Board.
Just 2.
Again, if you are interested, next time I'll have to bring my speech from like the last meeting. We still want you for the Radnor Harb. And so again, you must be a Radnor Township resident. To apply, contact Radnor Township or also Community Development Department. Thank you very much. If there are no other issues, concerns, questions,
Motion to adjourn.
do we have a second? We are adjourned. Thank you for joining us this evening, and have a great night. Bye-bye.